Welcome. Today, we are diving into something that's, well, it's pretty much everywhere, isn't it? Artificial intelligence. But we're not just going to talk about what it is. We're talking about how we manage its incredible power. Think of it like this. We're building the rules of the road for a technology that is changing our world faster than we can even keep up.
Okay, so to really get a handle on this, you have to understand the two sides of the AI coin. On one side, you have this incredible, almost unbelievable promise. We're talking about innovation, progress, efficiency, the potential to solve some of humanity's biggest, thorniest problems. But then, there's the other side, the peril, and this is real stuff. Deep-seated bias, a flood of misinformation, and the potential for actual tangible harm if we don't get this right. It's a constant balancing act.
So, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at that dual nature of AI. Then, we'll nail down what we even mean by governance. We're going to peek inside the so-called black box, run through 5 of the biggest dangers out there, and finally, talk about why governance is so essential and what the road ahead looks like.
First up, let's really dig into these two totally different paths that AI is on at the exact same time. It's this weird mix of being this amazing engine for progress and, well, a source of some pretty major failures.
I mean, on the one hand, AI is absolutely an engine of progress. It's what's called a general-purpose technology, which is just a fancy way of saying it isn't one tool for one job. No, it's a foundational force that's completely reshaping entire economies and changing the very definition of what work is. And it is happening at a truly dizzying speed.
But, and this is a huge but, when this technology gets rushed out the door without the right checks and balances, the consequences are very, very real. You've probably seen the headlines. Chatbots just making things up, they call it hallucinating, or hiring tools that are just flat out biased. This isn't some theoretical problem. It's causing real damage to people and companies right now.
And that tension right there brings us to the main event, AI governance. So what are we really talking about here? What are the rules of the road?
Okay, so if you want the official textbook definition, it's something like this. AI governance is a systematic framework, a whole collection of rules, standards, and procedures, all designed to make sure AI systems are built and used responsibly, ethically, and transparently.
But honestly, a much simpler way to think about it is just this. We are building guardrails for AI. That's it. And look, guardrails aren't there to stop the car, right? They're there to keep it on the road, moving forward safely, so we get all the amazing benefits without, flying off a cliff.
So, why do we need these guardrails so badly? To get that, we've got to pop the hood and take a peek inside what everyone calls the black box of AI to see where these risks actually come from in the first place.
At its core, basically every AI system follows this same 3-step process. Step 1, it gobbles up a massive amount of human-generated data. Step 2, it builds a model that learns to copy our patterns of thinking from all that data. And then step 3, it spits out an output, a prediction, a classification, you name it. But here's the absolutely critical takeaway. This isn't magic. It's a mirror. It's learning from us, which means it also learns all of our flaws and all of our biases.
And this total dependence on human data, well, it creates some really big dangers that we absolutely have to figure out how to navigate. So let's break down 5 of the most critical ones.
First up, and this is a huge one, algorithmic bias. Now, the scary part isn't just that the AI copies our biases, it's that it can actually amplify them. It takes our messy, flawed human processes and kind of launders them, repackaging them to look like objective, data-driven conclusions. It makes old prejudices look shiny and scientific, and then scales them up massively.
Second, a massive risk to data privacy. And this goes way deeper than just a data breach. There's this phenomenon called model memorization, where an AI can just accidentally spit out the exact sensitive information it was trained on. Personal details, confidential records, you name it. Not because it was hacked, but because that's just how it learned. It's a huge privacy and intellectual property risk.
Number 3 is a lack of transparency, that black box problem. If we can't explain why an AI made a certain decision, we can't hold it accountable and we can't trust it. But it's even deeper than that. It's a fundamental engineering problem. If the people who built the thing don't know why it's making mistakes, how can they possibly fix it or prevent even bigger mistakes down the line?
The fourth danger is something called model drift.
Think of this as a silent form of failure. A model that was super accurate last year might be dangerously wrong today simply because the world has changed. The real danger here is that, without constant monitoring, a helpful AI tool can slowly and invisibly become a source of systemic error.
And finally, number 5, regulatory non-compliance. Oh yeah, governments are paying attention. With massive legislation like the EU AI Act and frameworks from groups like NIST in the US, ignoring governance is no longer just an ethical lapse, it's a serious compliance and legal risk. But here's the flip side. For the companies that do this right, compliance is becoming a real competitive advantage.
Okay, so we've just laid out 5 pretty serious dangers, right? Bias, privacy, transparency, drift, and regulation. The question becomes incredibly urgent. How do we actually build the guardrails to protect ourselves from all of this?
And this is where it all comes together. This is where governance stops being some abstract concept and becomes the practical, essential solution we've been looking for. Because a really strong governance framework directly tackles every single one of the dangers we just talked about. It mitigates risk through things like fairness audits and privacy controls. It reduces liability by making sure you're complying with the new rules. It builds trust by demanding transparency. And, this is so important, it actually enables innovation by giving organizations the confidence to use AI responsibly.
And what this all represents is a fundamental shift in thinking. We are moving away from a world where the only question was, can we build this, to a much more mature mindset that asks, okay, should we build this? And if so, how do we build it the right way? It's a move from being purely profit-driven to being principle-driven.
All right, let's move to our final section and see what this looks like for the future, because this is definitely not a static challenge.
And this is maybe the most crucial point of all. AI governance is not a one-time compliance event. You can't just check a box and be done with it. Think about it. AI itself is constantly learning and evolving, right? Well, our governance, our guardrails, have to be a living, adaptive system too. It has to learn and update continuously right alongside the technology it's meant to guide.
So that leaves us with this final critical question. AI is moving at an exponential pace, faster than anything we've ever created. The core challenge of our time, and the one I'll leave you with, is this. Can we make sure our ethics, our rules, and our guardrails evolve fast enough to keep up? That's all for this explainer. Thanks for joining us.